Well, as always, Coach Kendra Whisenhunt comes in here on Wednesdays to chat about what was about softball, what is about softball, and what will be about softball. So hopping right into it, Coach, it's a lot different of a team from right now to when we last chatted, which you and I last talked like 2 weeks ago. You've won 7 of 8, including a big couple of games up in Branson. You took 4 games in 4 days. Got split yesterday against Rich Mountain. Yep. Essentially, I'd like to just ask the question: what's propelled you guys to such a solid momentum area that we're in right now?
Yeah, I think it's, we're just figuring it out. We've kind of figured out our chemistry, kind of who's at what positions, our lineup. Did a couple tweaks from the first week, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that Branson series specifically. And I know, with Cade having talked to you about it and you and me talking a little bit, how much that weekend means to you guys, not just from the game's perspective, but from the team building perspective. And, we'll start on the team building perspective side of things in here. How well do you think the players gelled on that kind of trip? I know you guys do team building stuff there, but, do you feel the team is stronger having gone on that trip now?
Oh, I think so. I always love our Branson trip. It gives us a chance to kind of get out of Wilburton. We get 2 nights in a hotel together. We're able to, kind of get out and do a little team bonding activity. They spend a lot of time together. They're able to go, if their parents are there, they can go out with them for a little bit for, I think most of them are going to, what was it, Josie? Lulu. Everybody went to Lulu. That's the thing now. All of the, activities up there. And, we got two games each day, and we did well for both of those, both days. So it's always a great trip.
Yeah, and I want to talk about those games that you actually played. As a team, you allowed 5 total runs while scoring 43 on 49 hits and 4 home runs. Is it just something about the fields up there in Branson, or how'd you get going so quickly?
We're seeing the ball well offensively. I think everybody's in a good spot right now. We have a lot of confidence, and I think that's, honestly, that's the biggest part of any success is having the confidence. It's like I said, I tweaked the lineup a little bit. I think that, put others in different spots that kind of, complemented the either the batter in front of them or behind them. Mason Sisney had a great weekend to where, she racked up the RBI, she racked up the hits. I think she hit 688 on the week last week. And so, things like that, people kind of feed off of that. And we hit well and pitched well.
And I'm glad that you brought up the bats and the pitching. We'll get to pitching in a minute because I want to make sure that Punk gets her due here. But you guys are really starting to slash well, and obviously pending some stats from yesterday, but at least coming into this morning, hitting 375 as a team, on base percentage of like 435, something like that. And I'm looking at Mason and Maisie specifically, where if you put the two of them together, they'd have a batting average of 564, and they've got 31 hits between the two of them, 10 doubles, 3 home runs. How are they playing so well right now? I know that Mason split time at catcher last year. I know she's kind of doing the same this year, and Maisie that full-time job, but how is the training from last season, the off season, now here in the first couple of games of non-conference play really propelled them to such a solid start?
Yeah, well, obviously this is their second year now, so they've kind of, they don't have the nerves that freshmen have. They kind of know the type of competition that we'll see, and like I said, confidence helps a lot. Mason is a kid that you said split a lot of time last year, and that's right. And she was a kid that towards the end of the year got hot. So in the fall, you can't really go by what happens in the fall because we are playing a lot of the 4-year universities. And so I think Mason went a little back and forth there in the fall trying to figure out her swing and kind of, she overanalyzes everything. But right now she's clicking well, seeing the ball well, and, has earned a spot, in the lineup for both games right now.
Yeah, and when you're hitting 591, it's hard to keep a player on the bench, and especially with the power she's getting. And then, Maisie, we've talked a little bit about as well, just with her contact and her softball IQ, knowing when to run, when not to run. And she's a threat once she gets on base. So, how has her growth really kind of happened here over the last few games?
Yeah, she's a triple threat. She's a kid that can put a bunt down and run it out. She's a kid that can hit home runs, and and a kid that can, hit for power, find a gap. She's a kid that, last year, her freshman year, she, if she had a bad at bat or a bad game, she would get down on herself a little bit. This year she's done better about that. Staying through the adversity and all of that. So, it's great to see her have a breakthrough, little couple weeks here.
And not to be forgotten is the pitching staff. I promised we'd get back to give Punk her due. It's really cool just to see the journey that the pitching staff has been on. The first 4 games, a little rough, a little shaky. But with Branson and now that series against Rich Mountain, again, stats are where they're at right now. But you've brought the team ERA down to 3, right there at like 3.10. Your 2 starters in Punk and Callie Budd have looked great. And Punk herself just named the Region 2 pitcher of the year, or of not the year, it's too early, of the week. 3-1 this season, 2 complete games, a shutout. Her ERA is down to 152. What are you seeing so far out of Punk Underwood, and has she kind of met the expectation you had for her coming into the season?
Oh yeah, for sure. She's someone that she's the type of pitcher that when she trusts her defense, which she is trusting them right now, she's going to be hard to beat because she doesn't throw many strikeouts, but that's not what we need from her. We need her to get the ground balls, the pop flies, and that's what she's doing. Our defense is doing a great job, playing behind her, playing behind both of our pitchers. She's, I think, early she wanted to be more of a strikeout pitcher. She thought, in high school it's different. She struck out a lot of kids. Here, you have to be a little bit craftier and you have to be able to hit spots better and spin the ball. So she's made really good adjustments and she's throwing well.
And Callie Budd, I see that mentality of I want the ground ball, but somehow getting strikeouts. Team high 25 Ks for Callie, 2 straight wins, now 3-2 on the year, 2 shutouts and a complete game. And I heard that she pitched the entirety of Game 2 against Rich Mountain yesterday.
Yes.
How has she really grown into her spot here for Eastern?
Yeah, she's grown a lot from a couple months ago. She's a kid that keeps them off balanced well, spins the ball well. She is very fierce, I guess, when she's out there, which is so not her in the real world. She's a kid that is very quiet and kind of shy outside of pitching, but when she's on that mound, she's got a presence, and that's what I really love about her, because she goes out there and she loves to compete, and she wants to compete. She wants the ball, and so that's refreshing to see, somebody that wants to be out there and to compete. So she's doing well.
And talking about competing, I want to get a minute just to talk about that Rich Mountain game yesterday. Obviously, stats we can't talk about a lot, but 2 games yesterday against Rich Mountain, 6-5 loss in 11 innings in Game 1, and then Game 2 an 8-6 victory. Overall, how would you grade the team's performance? What'd you see that you liked? Maybe some things that you really didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought we played well yesterday. We did get the loss in the first game. It did go 11 innings. But let me tell you, we had Madison Grogan come in, and I told her after the fact, I was like, look, this is not the situation I wanted to put you in for your second appearance, because, she is coming off that ACL surgery. She's been released, but she's still kind of working up, stamina and all of the things. And she honestly hasn't thrown too many bullpens. But Punk had given up 2 runs on the top or the bottom of that 7th inning, and to tie it up. So I was like, you know what? Let's just go with Grogan and see what happens here. And she threw lights out. I mean, she was out there at the first inning. She was a little bit nervous. She was maybe a little overamped. I think her heart rate was probably through the roof there, but she settled down and, ended up losing it on a blooper. And, you hate to see that because she threw well. But I can't complain about anything. I mean, that our defense was great. I think we only had 1 error, which did not cost us a run that game. So our defense did their job. Our bats were hot. We were hitting it really hard, but we were hitting it to them. And so, whenever you're doing that, you just know that you'll find gaps and you'll find, base hits eventually. So just keep hitting it hard. And then Game 2, that's when, Callie got to start there. We started off hot offensively, went up, I think 4-0 early in the game within the 2 innings, I believe. and then they got a couple runs, and then we got a couple more, and then we ended up finishing 8-6. So.
Well, it sounds like a good thing, and I'm glad to hear that Grogan's starting to get some time in there. No better time than the high leverage situation to bring a pitcher on
right.
and go through there. So, Rich Mountain's in the past, and to talk about how quickly time's about to fly here. This weekend, FireLake Invitational.
Yep.
Go through there.
We'll see them again.
Yeah,
we'll see
right
again.
there.
Yep.
That's game 2 here on the schedule against Rich Mountain.
Yep.
Then you come back from that, 2 series against a really, really good Murray team and Labette, and then poof, we are in Region 2 play. And I know how excited that is here. So with the Invitational coming, with the services and games that are coming, my question, I guess, what have you learned to this point in the season about your team? And what are you still hoping to learn before we get to that infamous first game of conference play?
Yeah, no, I've noticed that they've kind of gelled together really well, and they're all out there. They want to win. They want the ball. They want to compete. So as a coach, that's all you really want. You want kids that want to be out there. You want kids that want to want the ball hit to them. Want the ball whether it's at the plate or in the circle. I think we're playing well right now. I think there's a lot of, confidences are high. We had a couple of struggling offensively coming into this past week, and they've kind of broken out of it, and so they're feeling good. And in the future, I hope to see that, we are still at that competitive edge, once we start conference, when the games, sort of matter more. But, for them to understand that it is a grind, we are going to go through the whole season playing everybody twice in our conference and then the tournament. So just staying together and playing well.
The Lady Mountaineer softball team 8-4 here inside of the 2025-2026 season with a trip to the FireLake JUCO Invitational. That's where the Region 2 tournament is this year, right?
It is, yep.
So a little bit of a preview for you guys.
Fields,
Get to play that out. It should be a lot of fun here this weekend. St. Charles, Rich Mountain, Carl Albert, Crowder, Western. We won't have coverage of those games here on Mountaineer Radio, Mountaineer TV, but will be a ton of fun. As always, Coach Kendra Whisenhunt comes and joins the program here on Wednesdays. So thank you, Coach, for sitting here and having some fun with me. Best of luck here over the weekend.
Thank you.
And soon we'll be able to talk about some Region 2 softball because this region is shaking up to be something fun here this season.